Every single Jedi that served during the Republic era was eventually hunted down when Order 66 came from Emperor Palpatine Darth Sidious, ordering the clone troopers against their will to kill their Jedi friends and comrades, an event that roughly wiped out 90% of the Jedi when it first occurred, as the clone troopers were able to catch the Jedi utterly off guard. Following this though, Darth Vader himself would personally be appointed to hunt down Jedi by Darth Sidious, but he would also be given valuable help in the form of the Inquisitorius, former Jedi themselves, now Dark Jedi that operated directly under Darth Vader, and whose sole purpose among the Empire had no role within the Empire itself other than hunting down all of the remaining Jedi that managed to escape the initial stages of the Purge, a job that with the combined might of all of the Inquisitors they were quite successful at, with the Inquisitors operating up until around 2 years before the events of the first Star Wars movie A New Hope, and Darth Vader himself personally hunting down high-ranking Jedi during this time period. Even high-ranking members of the Jedi Council would eventually be hunted down or would die by natural causes before the events of Return of the Jedi. Jedi Masters like Obi-Wan Kenobi and Grandmaster Yoda that managed to evade the Empire for decades, but there was one Jedi and one Order 66 survivor specifically that managed to live all the way up until the time just before the events of Star Wars The Force Awakens, almost 60 years after Order 66 was enacted by Darth Sidious, and after the fall of the Galactic Empire. And today we will be discussing his story, the story of Nakh Med. Before we jump right into the story though, I do want to remind you guys about the massive Black Friday through Cyber Monday sale on the Star Wars merch page. If you want to get an awesome Star Wars hoodie for yourself, your friends, or your family this holiday season, now is the time to do it, as everything on the store is 16 to half off. Check it out at the top of the link in the description. Now let's continue with the story. Nakh Med was a young Jedi who served among the ranks of the Jedi Order slightly before the era of the Clone Wars conflict. It was during this time that he arose to the rank of Jedi Knight, but upon ascending to the rank of Knight, Nakh began to realize that the Jedi were far too focused on political means, rather than the Force itself and its constant motion, in fact holding a similar opinion at the time to Jedi Master Qui-Gon Jinn. It was for this reason that Nakh Med ultimately decided to depart the Jedi Order, choosing to carve out his own path in the galaxy, seeing the Jedi's path down the road to destruction. He also did not want to serve an order that strictly served as a political weapon for others, but nonetheless he was highly trained in the ways of the light side of the Force, and remained a faithful light side wielder. Eventually Nakh Med would get married, and would father a young child. It wouldn't be until decades later that he would hear of the events of Order 66 and the Great Jedi Purge, where his former brothers and sisters were being hunted down profusely by a mysterious individual known as Darth Vader, and the clone troopers in a mere instant had turned on their Jedi generals, gunning them down wherever they could. Upon hearing these reports though, Nakh Med did not immediately take the side of the Jedi, as he had seen the seeds of corruption growing through the Jedi Order when he had been a Jedi Knight, believing that the reports and accusations of Emperor Palpatine were in fact correct, and that the Jedi had planned a massive uprising that Palpatine eventually caught on to and managed to foil. This former Jedi, in an absolutely astonishing moment, believed Darth Sidious of the Jedi's crime. It was only until several months later, where a mysterious individual arrived at Nakh Med's planet, that he realized just how wrong he was. The Grand Inquisitor eventually hunted down Nakh Med to his home world, and the two of them had a brief duel. Nakh Med realized though that he was out of practice, and was no match for the power of the Grand Inquisitor, a skilled Jedi hunter. Instead though, Med resolved to destroy the Grand Inquisitor's lightsaber, which he was ultimately successful at, then fleeing the Inquisitor. After this, Med realized the grand tragedy of the Jedi Order, and that the Empire were in fact in league with Darksiders, choosing ultimately to flee to the planet of Pamba, and seek refuge there. Luckily for Med though, the planet had been utterly abandoned by the Republic decades earlier, meaning that it would be one of the last places in the entire galaxy that the Empire would look for a Jedi, and he led out the rest of his days in relative peace. Unfortunately though, the Jedi was forced to abandon his family. Decades upon decades later though, he would be eventually hunted down and tracked down by his grandson, who revealed to him that the Empire had collapsed, and that the Jedi were no longer actively being hunted throughout the galaxy. In a moment of peace, Nakh Med passed away, joining with the Force, mere years before the events of Star Wars Episode 7 The Force Awakens, making Nakh Med the last great survivor of Order 66 and the Jedi Purge. But had you heard the story of this fateful Jedi Knight before this video? For those of you that are interested, Nakh Med actually appears in the canon book Force Collector, so if you want to learn more about his story, you can check it out there. Again, my friends, don't forget the sale on the merch. It ends after Monday, so be sure to check out some of the designs now while the big sale still applies. Thank you guys as always so much for watching. May the Force be with you, and have a great day.